Pro Football Today crew is live on SportsGrid. Joe Lisi, Donnie Rightside, I'm Kevin Walsh with you. Kickoff, I don't know, you can feel it in the air, man. It's any moment now. So right now, it should be right now. We're waiting a little bit, but we still have plenty to uncover. And we're going to bring in NFL insider Adam Kaplan here. Cap, how are we feeling on a Super Bowl Sunday?
Really good, guys. Good to see you guys this week in New Orleans. And good to see you on Super Bowl Sunday, man. It's been a long week. Let's face it.
Yeah.
You know, you were talking about it. It's finally here. We're about 5.5 hours away from kickoff. And I'm just stunned, by the way, as we get started here. The line has not moved. It's hard to believe, but it's still 1.5. I know some books maybe one, but very, very little movement overall.
Yeah, Cap, and we're going to get into the lines and everything you're hearing around the game. But there is one situation that seemed obvious even before this morning, but maybe we got then another level of confirmation around the Eagles offensive coordinator, Kellen Moore, getting that job in New Orleans. I have to say, there's a part of me that now wonders if there's going to be some tampering involved, because it's like we kind of already knew, and the fact that now we've seen some reporters come over the top like, look, he's got the job. What are you hearing around Kellen Moore and New Orleans?
Kevin, no, you guys had asked me last week. I said he's getting the job. It's a done deal. They haven't negotiated the contract yet because they can't. But this is the guy. That's why they waited, by the way. And in fact, I've talked to some coaches who are hoping to be on Kellen Moore's staff in New Orleans. So it's just so odd that the Eagles played the Saints in Week 3. That game kind of ruined the Saints' season, particularly on offense. Then here we are. This is where the Super Bowl is being played. It's kind of ironic, but it is. It's going to happen. Absolutely going to happen. As I reported months ago, Kellen badly wanted to be a head coach. This is his one opportunity, though he's interviewed for a bunch of them over the last couple of years. But he's got this one. There is some talent on offense to work with, an aging Alvin Kamara. They've got a decent receiver core, but his focus, talking to people close to the Eagles, is solely on this game. Let's not talk about John McGannon 2 years ago and all that stuff with the Cardinals. That's not happening here. He's solely focused.
And what a way to go out, too. Win a Super Bowl in New Orleans. You could basically stay there and then have that pedigree heading into it, as I beat the Kansas City Chiefs as the offensive coordinator. But let me talk to you about something. I know you're embedded with the Eagles. Kellen Moore leaves. Yes. Who is going to be in line? Because it didn't work out all that well the last time Steichen went out to Indy. They tried to replace him with Brian Johnson. That didn't work out. Is there any short list that you're looking at now, Adam?
Yeah, in-house would be Kevin Patullo, who's more or less their passing game coordinator, who's really Nick Sirianni's right-hand man. Now, we have to understand a couple things here, Donnie. They're not running the Nick Sirianni offense, which they ran from 21 through 23. This is Kellen Moore's offense. Sometimes scaled back to help Hurts out, but the bottom line, it's Kellen Moore's offense. So as Jalen Hurts did say, it's been at least 9 different play callers going back to high school, including his father, his high school coach. So, Donnie, that does worry me a little bit when we look at, if you're in a dynasty league for fantasy, if you're looking at future numbers for the Eagles, that's one thing other than some free agents, Donnie, that could derail their offense a little bit. It's yet another play caller. Now, Patullo would be the in-house candidate. There'll be some guys outside the organization that they'll potentially look at. But the bottom line is you're going to have another play caller. That does concern me for the future.
Cap, I want to talk about Kenneth Gainwell. He's back now in terms of practice and going to play in this game. Any news surrounding Kenneth Gainwell and how, close to 100% he is heading into this matchup?
Yeah, he was cleared out of the protocol, so that was done on Friday. Here's why he's so important. He is really good in pass protection. He's on the final year of his rookie deal, but Bob probably had overall his best season as an Eagle. And you notice that Saquon Barkley, for the people playing those receiving props, he's not in on a lot of third downs. Kenny Gainwell, who really Nick Sirianni and his staff, I'm told, wanted badly coming out of that draft in 2021 out of Memphis. And he's just really good at pass protection, better than Barkley at it. So that's why you see him in there. You also, by the way, he scored, if you remember, he scored in the Super Bowl 2 years ago, so in a short yardage carry. So when you look at this situation with Kenny Gainwell, he's very, very important. Now, I also would note he has his knee issue. Now, he's going to play, barring something happening in pregame warmups, but that was the new thing, was the knee injury in addition to the concussion.
Cap, other storylines surrounding this game today on the Kansas City side, they have 2 guys who are future first ballot Hall of Famers in Andy Reid and Travis Kelce, who have hit the point in their career where at the end of each season, or maybe at the beginning of each season, we say, is this the last one? And maybe that's more true with Kelsey than Andy Reid, but I am curious if you've heard anything around those scenarios with the Chiefs head coach as well as their tight end.
No, Andy's committed to coaching in the future. Now, internally, my understanding for a couple years has been Matt Nagy, if they stayed in-house, would have a very good chance to replace him. Hey, people can say whatever they want, but he knows that offense. Spags, obviously, Steve Spagnuolo, the great defensive coordinator, would be another option. But I believe Matt Nagy's pretty high on the list to stay internally, and obviously they could look outside when Andy decides to retire. But there's been no talk internally of him retiring. He squelched that stuff a couple years ago. Now, Travis Kelce, in his mid-30s, this is real over the next year or so, him potentially retiring. There's been no talk right now of him retiring just yet. But I learned, I wasn't covering the league then, but I remember when Bill Walsh, when he retired after their Super Bowl win against the Bengals in the late 80s, the players didn't know that. He kept it to himself. And so that's one thing, because you don't want anything to be a distraction. Let's get to Jason Kelce, what he did. Jason Kelce let his teammates know before his final season that he was going to retire and stick with it. Now, Brandon Graham, by the way, who's going to play today, we should mention that. That's actually a pretty big deal. Brandon Graham told his teammates and announced that he was going to retire, but he's backed off that in recent weeks. Here's the question. If they don't win and it's a tight game, let's say lose by 3, he's feeling good, does he return at 36 years old? That's something to take a look at.
Cap, I want to ask you this question, too. If we keep with Kansas City, in-house options in case Andy Reid retires, I don't understand one thing. Steve Spagnuolo might be one of the best defensive coordinators in NFL history. Got one job with the Rams. What is the word around the NFL why isn't he getting more looks at this point? He is a legendary defensive coordinator, probably should deserve to get a second opportunity if he wants it.
Yeah, Donnie, if there was a Hall of Fame for coaches, he'd be in it. I mean, there's no question about it. Yeah, it's just his age, and he was a Rams head coach. It didn't go well for Spags, but he's a terrific, terrific coach. And Dave Toub, by the way, who's their special teams coach, who Andy brought in with him from Philly. He's another guy that's a Hall of Fame type of coach. So the staff is really in place, by the way, when Andy retires to maintain the excellence. Obviously, be a step down because you're not having Andy Reid when Andy decides to hang it up. But, yeah, they have some great in-house options. There's no question about it. And Spags, I know from what I understand, talking to people close to him, he'd like to be a head coach again, but it's not the end-all, be-all for a guy like that who's accomplished so much. And quite frankly, when he was with the Rams, they were in disarray. It certainly was not his fault.
Cap, I know you like a bunch of props heading into today's action. Tell us what you're looking at today.
No, Joe, I like that Barkley prop. I know it's 1-1. It didn't come in last week after he had the huge run in the opening play of the game. That was stunning. That didn't get over. Now, we know how great the Chiefs' rush defense is. Okay, Joe, that's not a secret. But if you look at the list of running backs, James Cook was the best that they faced. You know how well James Cook looked. Got in the ball more. The over-under is -115 either side. I like the over 111.5. That's very doable. Now, the over-under total, the big one for a big run there is in the 20s. I don't know if he's going to get a 30-yard run. That's one I might stay away with. I like the A.J. Brown guys. This is surprising. It's only 4.5, but you got to pay at -165. The Chiefs play a lot of man coverage. A.J. Brown crushes man coverage. Trent McDuffie's great. By the way, he plays on the outside. Joe, that's one that I like. I like him to get 5 or more this game.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see if those stars for the Philadelphia Eagles can step up within this game because we just talked about Spags and how good he is, and a lot of people think that those will be the 2 primary guys that Spags tries to zone in on with his defense today. We're going to step back, though, from this game and talk a little bit about everything surrounding the league with Cat next.
So my team didn't win this weekend, but I still did with this app that's taking over the game. Sports Millions Pick'em lets you make quick and easy predictions. Pick your favorite players, go higher or lower, and you can still win big even if your team loses. Plus, the multiplier is insane. With just a few picks, you can win big money. So get on it. They've got a welcome bonus to help you start off your winning streak.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event
the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Pro Football Today is back, and we're back with NFL insider Adam Kaplan, and we're going to get to what is gearing up to be a pretty wild offseason. But just quickly, one more thing we're hearing around this game, Cap. The Eagles and an illness, seemingly specifically with Jalen Carter. Are you hearing anything around just kind of this flu maybe that the Eagles are having?
Kevin, actually, they had, as I understand it, the week before, a couple players were not feeling well, including Nolan Smith. He was good to go. Didn't miss any time during the week. And then you got the Jalen Carter situation. Wasn't right. Wasn't feeling great on Wednesday. He was fine on Thursday and Friday. He's good to go. As a matter of fact, Kevin, the Eagles did not add any players with illness to their injury report. Despite all the rumors, that was a good sign that they're good to go. The Eagles are pretty good with their injury report. Just because I look at this stuff, I have for 27 years when making sure teams are on the up and up. But no, there's been nothing to come out. Now, obviously, we'll see what happens with the networks as they're covering the game to see if they uncovered anything. But usually I hear about that stuff. If guys are not feeling well. So that, look, the thing is here, guys, when you look at the health, and I heard Dr. Chow, the Chiefs are good to go. The Eagles, though, Devontae Smith, I do want to touch on this. He's had lingering hamstring issues for a couple months. He's been on and off the injury report. He's been able to get actually a couple big games on the last 6 weeks. But, you know, if you're looking at a guy to keep an eye on early in the game, it's Devontae Smith, just because he's had this hamstring injury. A.J. Brown looked great in the championship game after suffering that left knee injury against the Steelers in Week 15, but he's good to go. Hurts looked good, very good running the football last week, as you know. So from an injury standpoint, we just talked about game one in the first segment. I'm good to go here with all these injuries.
I love it, too. And as Adam knows, I pestered him daily on what has he been hearing with Devontae Smith's hamstring injury. So we are all clued in, waiting for this game to get underway. But, Adam, as we know, the league year seems to move quickly here at this point. We're already on to next season, even though the Super Bowl is here. I want to talk to you about Deebo Samuel. Is it a fact of the matter is he's getting a little bit older? He is expensive, but also at the same time, they look to pay a quarterback a big number this offseason. Tell us about Deebo Samuel and the expectations.
All right, so he told ESPN over the last 24 hours that he's being given permission to seek a trade. Now, what I will tell you is, let me just back up a little bit. One of the first, as soon as Ricky Pearsall was drafted, I'm like, okay, you could rest assured Deebo Samuel will not finish his contract out as a 49er. And guys, here we are. He's on the final year of his deal. They've granted him that permission. Deebo Samuel's a fantastic football player. You know, he's at 29 in the twilight of his career. He's a specialty receiver. Run after the catch. He's not really a deep threat. Run after the catch. Gadgets. This is a guy that Kyle Shanahan coached in the Senior Bowl in 2019. They have a pretty good working relationship, but he's had some injuries. You know, they're in a transition here. Ricky Pearsall, the former first-round pick, he had to get over the gunshot situation. He's good to go. He's healthy. You saw him late in the season. He looked pretty good. So they're expecting him to start. Juwan Jennings signed that short contract extension, who did a great job, by the way. One of the top backup receivers. They'll look to add somebody, Johnny. But the bottom line is he's got a tradable contract. Really, when you look at it, let's go over this so people understand. He's got just over $17 million due next season, but none of it's guaranteed. He's got a restructured veteran minimum salary of just over $1.1 million, and he's got a non-guaranteed option bonus that's going to come due later this year of just over $15 million. So it's around $17 million plus. Some teams may not want that money, but none of it's guaranteed. So quite frankly, right now, the Niners have some leverage here, not the player as much. So that's something to keep an eye on. There's no question going forward. But the Niners guys, you nailed it, Donnie. With the Brock Purdy situation, they're going to extend his contract. They're going to have to move some cash here.
Cap, latest news surrounding Myles Garrett and the trade that he potentially requested. Are you hearing any suitors or maybe some possible fits for Myles Garrett next season?
All right, Joe, let me explain this. The Browns have made it clear to anyone who's asked, they're not trading him. Now, what I would tell you is what the Raiders told me, was it 2018? They told me there was no way they're trading Khalil Mack. No way, no way, no way. And then once it became late August of that year, John Gruden changed his mind. He had personnel control, and Gruden traded him to the Bears. So I never say never. The Browns have said they're not going to trade him. He's a chess piece for them. They obviously need a quarterback. And I know Myles Garrett's sick of losing. He'd like to win. He's a great player in the twilight of his career. Got plenty left, though. He's on the back nine, but he's still a great football player. And he'd like to start winning and winning a lot. And if they would change their mind, guys, okay, Joe, if they would change their mind, easily would get multiple first-round picks. That's a given. Plus, you have to redo his deal. He's going to want to get a new deal. They could get picks. They could get players. Guys like this are game changers. Remember when Jared Allen was traded, who by the way is a Hall of Fame type player? Guys like this just don't become available. And if they're willing to take another look at that, let's say at the owners' meetings in March in Palm Beach, which I'll be at, they would have no shortage of suitors.
Do you think, Cap, it could impact then what they do in the draft, where drafting currently at second overall, if Myles is gone, it would mean they're so far away, and then without that superstar, if Abdul Carter's on the board, perhaps it changes their MO?
Well, Kevin, depending on who you're dealing with. So the mistake, well, I say it's a mistake. The Raiders didn't think so. So Kevin, when the Raiders made that trade with the Bears, they thought the Bears were far away. They didn't expect the Bears to make the playoffs in 2018. Like, who saw that, right? So if you're the Browns and you change you do a 180, you decide you're going to move them, you want to trade them somewhere where that team is far away from winning. So think about it. If you trade him to a team like Washington, right, you're going to be getting a low first-round pick or multiple low first-round picks. You don't want that. That play, by the way, that plays heavily into a decision like this.
That'll be interesting, though, because from what we've seen from Myles, he has no interest in going anywhere other than Washington's probably the low end, I imagine, Cap, of destinations he would be excited to join. I'd imagine Philly, Detroit are things on his mind. It makes, to me, though, Cap, I'll say this, the Niners who pick at 11, interesting, because they're a team that I'm sure Myles would be happy about and maybe have more reasonable draft compensation for Cleveland. It's going to be a really fun draft season. It's going to be a fun off season, and it's going to be a fun Super Bowl. Adam Kaplan, NFL Insider, we really appreciate it.
You got it, guys. Thank you.
All right, great stuff, as always, there again from Adam Kaplan. Up next, sell me something for the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
We got a few options on the menu today. We will dissect those next right here on SportsGrid.
My mom, she was a professional ballet dancer. My aunt played professional tennis. My dad played football at Pitt when they won a national championship. My sister ran track at Stanford. So it's just kind of in my blood to love all sports. And so I've always obviously loved golf, but it's been nice to kind of branch out a little bit more and get into different sports and different topics and not just always do golf.
Only on SportsGrid.
St. John's is primed to make a run. They're fabulous defensively. And I've told people on this network time and time again, when Kadari Richmond plays, he's a difference maker. They're right now the favorites to win the Big East regular season title. By the way, I told everyone that was going to happen. -170. And I told everyone that was going to happen.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
Let's talk about Philly and Kansas City. They're here again 2 of the last 3 years. What are your thoughts on this matchup?
I'm a big Andy Reid fan, and it's hard to go against what he's been able to accomplish. Okay. That being said, there's a lot of storylines in this game. You know, you look at Saquon and what he's been able to do this year.
Crazy.
It's wild. But if he's able to do what he's done throughout the playoffs, they'll be hard to beat.
Only on SportsGrid.
Sell me something time. My, oh, my. That's Lisi Joe really stepped up to the plate here. Goodness me. It has been one heck of a year for Sell Me Something.
Really has.
I imagine the records in this segment are atrocious.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
That's all I got for that.
Yeah. I think I got like 113-1, which was nice, but the design of this segment seems to be for losses.
We have been close on this.
Yeah.
We don't even know how to explain the segment, let alone bet the segment.
It's a good point. Yeah, maybe next year we should get a unit tracker out for this.
I feel like I'm coming into my own.
The guy who never won one.
Yeah,
I guess
that's a good point.
I feel like I'm actually starting to embrace this Sell Me Something.
Finally getting it.
How good
29.
We get a unit tracker out. Lisi, all your 100-1s. We're just minus 250s, just trying to.
He never won one.
All right, Lisi. We have a few of these, by the way, today, so we've got some time here.
They've asked for certain things, some of the watchers of the show. So,
all right, so then go ahead. You're up. Sell me something.
So, talking to Sammy, right? I always talk to Sammy prior to the show. Great producer, and I said, let's put together a wheel parlay.
Right.
So, Sammy had the out of the goodness of his heart, named it "You Forgot About These Guys" parlay. Basically, this is the scrub parlay of the Super Bowl, Super Bowl 59.
Okay.
Talking about the forgotten men in the receiving game for both teams. So we're going to go with the Eagles. We talk about Jahan Dotson. He's got a number, not 3.5. 3.5 is not good, Donnie. We want Jahan up to 25 receiving yards. Okay.
Okay.
And then we're gonna parlay that with Noah Gray, 25 plus receiving yards, and then old man D-Hop. 25 plus receiving yards, right? We know about Pat Mahomes spreading the wealth and distributing the football across multiple avenues. That parlay together, the scrub parlay, pays $10,210. Did I sell you?
102-1, basically.
Yeah.
Over 100-1.
Yep.
It's a good-looking parlay, by the way, because technically it is. Like, this goes one way or another. They all get it, or nobody even gets a single yard.
Right, so, I mean, but it's a lottery ticket.
Who loses it?
You know what I love about these is we enter this show, and the only two people that have clicked it are you and producer Sam.
That's okay.
And the prices are slashing. It's down to 69-1.
There you go. Well, Sammy and I have a thing going. Sam, we're bound to hit one of these. All right? All right? And we talk about scrubs. We also talk about backup touchdown scorers, right?
Yeah.
All right?
All right.
So if you don't want to go with Noah Gray with the receiving yards, how about anytime touchdown? Can he take, right? 3 in the area of about, I think, 5 to 1. And then, old man, I got to get an Italian in there. Grant Calcaterra. They're slashing. He started the week at 21 to 1. They slammed them down to like 20, up to 28 to 1. Those 2 players to score on the backup tight end parlay, 117 to 1, Donnie. What do you think about that?
How about this? Like, let's just say Noah Gray scores in the first half. We cashing out? We push the cash out?
Depends on what are they giving me. You know about the last
You and Carver
cash out.
always cash out as quick as you can.
Donnie, you see, now you're trying to stir the pot.
Right.
Come on.
I do like it. By the way, that's pretty impressive for guys that will be on the field for 20-plus routes apiece, 25, 25, and 25. But again, who leaves you there? Who leaves you there?
I actually like that one. I mean, out of both of them, I like the
leaves you there.
No, I like the backup touchdown one.
Can I tell
you don't like it?
Can I tell you what's so nuts?
What?
Because we do legitimately hang out before these shows and talk bets. And people might think, so Lisa gave us our 2 craziest bets. Neither one of those are the longest odds of a bet that you have going into this game.
No, absolutely not. No.
You're trying to give him the medium?
Yeah.
Like,
He doesn't want to embarrass himself.
The mild, medium, or hot, you're giving people medium right now?
I got one that pays 352 to 1. They forced.
So was
they
that
said
you to score a touchdown again?
They said
what is
make
that
your,
price?
They said.
Who's it there? Man.
They said,
You get a
Lisa,
kick
make up
return?
your own bet.
Oh, man.
The Lisi Duffy
I mean,
one,
if you
too.
really, if you want to know the 352 to 1,
yeah, I do.
All right, so Goddard to score. Isaiah Pacheco, 14 rushing yards. Devontae Smith, 19 receiving yards. D-Hop, 7 receiving yards. Barkley, receiving, 34 receiving. 34. And Samaje Perine, anytime touchdown. 352 to 1. I'm cut out now.
Like what was the Pacheco like to get 9 yards rushing?
Yeah. It was
rushing?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's so against what you like.
It's your way, Donnie.
I think some of Donnie's.
I said, wait, that's got to be wrong.
Some of Donnie's and some of mine.
Yeah, like 9.5 like points in a game for himself.
No.
He's going to score like a field goal and a touchdown.
Devontae
We got more
Smith,
Tommy something around the corner, believe it or not.
Let's talk about Philly and Kansas City. They're here again 2 out of the last 3 years. What are your thoughts on this matchup?
I'm a big Andy Reid fan, and it's hard to go against what he's been able to accomplish. Okay. That being said, there's a lot of storylines in this game. You know, you look at Saquon and what he's been able to do this year.
Crazy.
It's wild. But if he's able to do what he's done throughout the playoffs, they'll be hard to beat.
Only on SportsGrid.
You want me to solve all this tush-push and fourth down malarkey that goes on with the officials? Here's a crazy idea. Get rid of the worst rule in the NFL, and that is forward progress. How about this? Where I knock your ass in the ground is where the ball goes, period. Let's end this whole conversation. Like, if I drop you back 4 yards, then you lost 4 yards. If we get rid of forward progress, this tush-push and everything else is taken care of. Where I put your tail on the ground is where the ball goes, end of conversation. It's the dumbest rule and the most arbitrary rule. The only thing that is a worse call in the NFL than forward progress is the punt that goes out of bounds when you watch the official walk down the sideline having absolutely no clue where that ball crossed over. All I can think of is that Price is Right game go do-de-do-de-do, do-de-do-de-do, as he's walking down the sideline, arbitrarily trying to figure out where the ball crossed over because he's got no clue.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
The salesman in us has not left the building just yet. We're going to continue to break down Super Bowl 59 between Kansas City and Philadelphia. We got the medium section off of Lisi. We dipped into the mild wings a little bit there.
Did you like it?
Yeah, it was a lot of good fun. I mean, I tried to cool off with some water, some milk, and it's just gonna get lower now. DRS, give me something here for sell me something.
Simple for me. There's one guy that might get 10 to 15 snaps today. Some can argue the biggest play in the history of the Philadelphia Eagles organization. Back when they won the Super Bowl in Minneapolis, it was Brandon Graham. And I'm asking for him not to dominate this football game, but to show up and show out. And at the end of this football game, to put it away, BG with a sack at a 4-1 price. Just doing that little dance. I mean, I'm not on camera right now, but I'm dancing. But I'm dancing right now. There you go.
But he's doing it right there for you.
There you go. 4-1 price here, like this. Pulling the wool down, bang, sack.
Yeah, it's a good look. Doesn't really move the needle for me because it's 4-1.
Because you're on Kansas City, I get it.
No.
You're on Karlaftis, Omenahue.
Now, Lisi, if that doesn't move the needle for you, try this out. Plus 114.
Whoa.
Over 3.5 Eagles to record a rush attempt.
I like that one. I do.
What I like is I sold you on that one because the more and more you think about it, it's like it's probably not coming in. For anybody that didn't see some of our other coverage from out there, the first time I brought this up, Donnie made the joke as Saquon gets the ball and I scream 1.
Yep.
I promise you I will be doing that at the house today.
That's one. That's one.
As he eats the wing, I could see him. Love it.
The number's gone against me. You know that? It's like up to plus 150 now.
Really?
Yeah. So like,
I think because of the Gainwell.
Him being healthy is hurting me? Or
No, I'm serious.
Lou Nichols in there getting carries late?
Central Michigan. Lou Nichols, Sun Bowl. He played in the Sun Bowl against Walsh State, Lou Nichols.
It makes sense because Gainwell's healthy. It's going down. I like that.
No, because I figured, I'll tell you why. Because honestly, with Gainwell in there, it just hurts Gainwell and potentially Barkley, right? With Gainwell out.
Now, wait. I don't understand the cap here at this point. So if you're looking for four guys to carry, a guy's in there who usually carries is now going to get a carry.
Right, but if Gainwell was out, it would have been Shipley. And maybe you
would have liked it more?
Yes, because then I'm serious. Would have liked it more. Shipley might have gotten one. They might have utilized Devontae
But then Gainwell
Smith.
wouldn't get it. So who else is getting it?
I just told you Shipley.
But Shipley's healthy now, and Gainwell's healthy, and Saquon's healthy. That's three eligible running backs.
What I'm saying is the rookie inexperience playing in the Super Bowl, right? He might have gotten one touch, and then they might have utilized a reverse with one of the wide receivers in that type of situation. With Gainwell, he's going to get like a majority now of the secondary carries. So that's why I think with Gainwell out, it would have went to Shipley and then maybe Goddard or one of the two wide receivers in that aspect.
Let's focus on the positivity. Lisi likes the bet. I like that Gainwell's healthy, personally.
I think it's good.
I think that because then I have Gainwell.
Who gets the fourth carry for you? Like who puts you over the top?
I actually think the Eagles will have 5 players run it.
5?
I feel
Devontae's going to get a jet sweep.
I feel good about a wide receiver.
Okay.
Gainwell, Saquon, and Hurts, and then I think either Shipley or Goddard,
but you would have
Dotson.
it then 4. That's
yes.
4. Oh,
yeah. Like, to put into perspective, like your question to me is like, I think 5 guys end up with a carry from the Eagles. That's why I really like.
He doesn't think he's just going to get by by a half.
Extras.
He thinks he's going to blow right through.
Yep.
He could, if he could alter it, he would.
Maybe
9.5.
Fake punt.
I
The middle carry.
I'm just saying. The punter, yeah, man. You never know.
Yeah, all right. So that's where we're at here.
All right, good.
Next.
It's a great look.
What do you got?
The other one I did throw in there, both teams to complete their first pass attempt, minus 110. We get in, we get out.
We're not taking shots.
Not a bad.
I'll be honest with you. As the more we've getting close, I'm worried about the bet. Because I am worried the Eagles' first pass attempt is going to go really far down the field.
Well, then I'll throw one of my outliers on there. I took a shot of the Gatorade color blue.
Another log.
We didn't do the Gator. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
15-1. I took it with the clear, 15-1. The reason why, no affiliation with the blue. So I just don't think it's so left field that you got to go with the blue. Just that's it, the blue. Blue and clear. Those are my two picks.
I loved your cap on clear.
Yeah.
The blue cap is ridiculous.
It's
just
nowhere near the field. Take
it makes no. But you know what? Nah, he sold me.
I don't know if
I've
I
been
like
wearing
the
blue.
What's
I've
the
been
blue
seeing
flavor,
blue.
though? What is the actual flavor?
I don't even blueberry.
I don't know.
I don't know what the blue is.
You sold me.
All right.
No, I've been seeing.
Glacier
I've been
freeze.
seeing blue.
That's the clear. That's the clear one.
I've been
or Arctic freeze.
I like that the Gatorade color you have is water. That's what I like.
I'm telling you because Sirianni,
Gator freeze.
He's a style. He goes out there in
Any
style.
chance they
He
dump
wants to go in.
antifreeze on him?
The antifreeze special of the day.
All right, let's do this because we're going to dive into this game. Can I go to you, Donnie, for an update on numbers?
Yeah.
What you're seeing, where you're seeing it, how different books are looking?
51 to 49 across the board. That's the betting
and who's the
ticket
51?
percentages? The Philadelphia Eagles.
Okay.
51, Kansas City 49 across a multitude of books. If we're looking live right now, 48.5s. FanDuel, DraftKings, BetMGM, Bet365, and Vegas. So it looks like they're all aligning there at that 48.5 number. Not 49s, not 50s, which we're thinking about. Is there ever a chance that they will get that high? Also, the side itself opened up at -1.5 at most outlets. We haven't had much movement. Also, the cheaper juice, -104s, -103s with the 1.5. You still do have ones out there in the marketplace at -110. So looks like that's where it's going to be.
We haven't talked total a ton.
Yeah.
I'm on under. I played it at 49.5. I think we may have some disagreement on the desk, so I'll say this. To me, you have two teams coming off of scoring their season high in points, which is a rarity. Philly off of their season high is obvious. I actually think that Philly's offense will be through their team total today.
Yeah.
But they've not been prolific necessarily off additional rest scoring the football. You think about the Green Bay game, the Cleveland game this season. That has not necessarily been the MO for this team. So, to me, I think there is a world that with Philly off of a 55-point performance, it could start a little bit slower. It is more of a fate of a KC offense who was off of a season high, but it was the only time that they scored more than 30 points. They landed 30 exact 2 other times. And the 2 follow-up performances for the Chiefs were 16 at home against Denver and 19 at home against Vegas. Each of those 2 games, their team total was booked 24.5, 25.5, 26.5. So I think this is, for me, I think things have just continuously, the more I break the game down, broken correctly for Philly. They did not win, Donnie.
Yeah.
An ugly, Mahomes was atrocious, but they found a way game against Buffalo. I get to sell high on their offense, which is why I played that 49.5. It's come down to 48.5 cents.
Yeah, no, and again, I never thought it would get to 50. We were asked, like, the day the Super Bowl odds opened up here, I thought it would stay between 1.5 to 1, which it's doing today, but I also thought that line would never get to the 50 point where on game day you would be betting the 50s. Now, we have a couple hours to go, but obviously there's not enough money in the world right now with how many bets came in to push that number into the 50s, so it looks like we'll probably settle at that 48.5 number. Also interesting things, like the Eagles 14-3. I know it doesn't really play into it, but 3 losses this year, all on grass. Now they're on turf, and the Eagles are a fast football team, which means jump cut, Saquon Barkley fully healthy, that could do some damage.
And they played in this building earlier in the year, right?
And he hit a home run in that building.
Against New Orleans, and everybody will say, Pat Mahomes 15-0 inside a dome. It's crazy, right? These stats. I do like the under. I told you that. I'm not playing it pre-kick. I told you how I'm going to play this game. Yeah, I just believe because of the way I believe, you look at this game with feeling out process and maybe the first 8 minutes, you get a little butterflies and there's a scoreless, lull. You could get this number potentially 41-42. I told you, low 40s, high 30s. I'm all in terms of the over in that regard. I do have a final Eagles 24-20. So we talked about it. When I saw the 49.5s, 50s, I just thought it was way too high for both of these offenses right now.
Yeah, I think we should go through some final scores again. You get to games like this, people like to toss them out there. I have one that's kind of been burned in my head throughout the week here as we get closer to the game. So we'll go through it all. We're going to go through this game. Who we think wins, how they win, what that means for our cards, and then we'll do some best bets and keep things rolling right here on SportsGrid.
Let's talk about Philly and Kansas City. They're here again 2 out of the last 3 years. What are your thoughts on this matchup?
I'm a big Andy Reid fan, and it's hard to go against what he's been able to accomplish. That being said, there's a lot of storylines in this game. You know, you look at Saquon and what he's been able to do this year.
Crazy.
It's wild. But if he's able to do what he's done throughout the playoffs, they'll be hard to beat.
Only on SportsGrid.
You want me to solve all this tush-push and fourth down malarkey that goes on with the officials? Here's a crazy idea. Get rid of the worst rule in the NFL, and that is forward progress. How about this? Where I knock your ass in the ground is where the ball goes, period. Let's end this whole conversation. Like, if I drop it back 4 yards, then you lost 4 yards. If we get rid of forward progress, this tush-push and everything else is taken care of. Where I put your tail on the ground is where the ball goes, end of conversation. It's the dumbest rule and the most arbitrary rule. The only thing that is a worse call in the NFL than forward progress is the punt that goes out of bounds when you watch the official walk down the sideline having absolutely no clue where that ball crossed over. All I can think of is that Price is Right game go do-de-do-de-do, do-de-do-de-do, as he's walking down the sideline, arbitrarily trying to figure out where the ball crossed over because he's got no clue.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Back to right here on Pro Football Today, and let's get into it. Who will win Super Bowl 59, and how will they do so? How we see it playing out, how it's informing our betting cards, and how this is all starting to line up here for a Super Bowl rematch from 57 to 59. We see the Kansas City Chiefs hosting the Philadelphia Eagles as favorites in this game, not hosting, but booked as favorites within this football game. Total is 48.5. I will go to you first, Donnie, here. How you see this game playing out, who wins it, and how it's starting to impact your card.
Yeah, I think the Philadelphia Eagles win this football game in the same way for the past week and a half here, finally setting on don't outsmart yourself, take the better football team, and if conditions hold up, which they should in the Dome, the better football team should win outside of ridiculous catastrophic injuries, which could impact any football game here. But I also think that this game does go to the over. And one of my better bets in this game that I really like is the Eagles team total over 23.5. So I don't think the Eagles actually get to 24 points, as Joe said, and win to 24-20. I'm going a little bit higher scoring. Like, I think this Eagles team is built to hit home runs and will do so and also be engaged by an offense for Kansas City, whether or not they're scoring. The one MO is, hey, hang around with Kansas City, hold off by 4 points. No. The Eagles are going to be ultra aggressive. I have the Eagles getting close to 30 points. So if I had to pinpoint one score in this game today, 31-20 Philadelphia Eagles.
It's a good look. I still like the Eagles in this matchup. Again, I'm not backing down. I think they're the more complete offense, certainly with playmakers at every level. We talk about the dominance of Saquon Barkley. We talk about those receivers, Goddard, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, and their ability to have a mobile quarterback, I think, matters. And Jalen Hurts has been a winner and steps up in big games. And again, you can criticize him all you want, but he outplayed Pat Mahomes a couple of years ago. I expect the passing attack to take over to some capacity where they win this game. Again, the X factor, and I continue to say this, is twofold. Can Kansas City run the football effectively? I'm not talking about Pat Mahomes. I'm talking about using Kareem Hunt and Pacheco between the tackles on Jalen Carter, on Jordan Davis, on Nolan Smith, and move the chains that way. I just don't see that. And that, to me, leads to long third downs, and that has still been a weakness of Pat Mahomes in this offense. They've been inconsistent on third down type of situations. Go back to the Houston game, right? They struggle with multiple third down type of situations. Pat Mahomes, I don't believe, is going to have the running lanes that he had against Houston and certainly against the Buffalo Bills. The linebacker core led by Braun are very athletic. They could run sideline to sideline. To me, that's the difference. I do lean under, but that doesn't mean I don't change my MO in game. I love the prop market here, and we'll see how it plays out. But I do like Philly 24-20, guys.
The more I look into this game, I think we just have ourselves a bit of a perfect storm for Philadelphia. When Kansas City has the football, they will be going up against the best defense in the National Football League. The Eagles on the year allowed opponents to have 6.8 yards per pass attempt. The gap between the Eagles at 1 to the team who checked in at 2 was the gap between 2 and 24. Playing Philly is a completely different level as a pass attack, which is how the Chiefs have to operate. Their ground game is just not good enough. And the Eagles against the best passing offenses have been excellent. Lamar's worst QBR game of the season. Burrow's worst passer rating game of the season. Jordan Love in one meeting was his worst QBR game and another was his worst passer rating game. We saw how they stepped up against Washington. Forced them to throw the ball a ton, but largely throw it short and in front of them. I'm on Mahomes over pass attempts, not yardage. I don't think it's going to be an incredibly efficient game for Mahomes. I think there's trailing situations. It's why I played that over 35.5 as one of my early bets. I think KC, even if they are in the red area, struggle to take touchdowns and make them, or to take those situations and have them be touchdowns instead of field goals. I think you'll see more Harrison Butker than KC hopes to, which for me would then mean the only pathway for the Chiefs winning this game, who, again, in their last 2 times coming off of a 30-point performance, failed to score over 20, is have their best defensive effort of the season by a lot. And the Chiefs' defense is good. It is not amazing. If you continue to follow the underlying numbers, it is not. We just saw it in their last game. Buffalo didn't play a phenomenal game. I think we left that game in large part thinking that Buffalo left a lot of opportunities on the field and still scored 29 on the road. Their run defense has been getting worse as the season has gone on, and in the postseason is playing their worst football at the most critical time. The Mixon-Cook combination, the 2 starting backs that they've seen in this postseason, a combined 31 carries for 173 yards and 3 rushing touchdowns. In comes Saquon Barkley, as fresh as he's been. Only 15 carries against Washington, and now off of a bye week should be ripping and ready to roar in this game. And the 118 against Washington is the fewest he's had in a game since over a month and a half ago, averaging 150 yards per game on the ground within his last 5 games. The Eagles' ability to run the ball, Donnie, keeps them in consistently manageable down and distance, putting Spags then not in his dream scenarios of predictable passing situations where those blitz comes in. I think Philly's offense moves it, gets to 27. I think KC stalls out and settles for field goals and sit at 16. I think it's an 11-point victory for the Philadelphia Eagles, and they win Super Bowl 59.
Yeah, it makes sense, too. And again, the way we're going over all of these scores, right, the way we think this game is going to play out, but I've said this for a long time now, even after last year's Super Bowl win by Kansas City. And so if somebody tells me next year that Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid are going to show up once again healthy in the Super Bowl, that they should be able to win it. Well, they're here and they're favored. And if somebody would walk up to me right now and say, Donnie, I'm just going with Kansas City because Mahomes and Andy Reid, Joe, I can't even fault him on that handicap because it works.
You can't. And again, do we expect Kansas City to be in the game? We do. Does Pat Mahomes give them the added benefit of being in a close game and potentially pulling it out? It does. But again, you talk about dominant defenses. Mm-hmm. We talk about the ability for Philly to limit chunk plays and force opposing quarterbacks to work down the field without those explosive playmakers that they used to have. I think this defense is different than a couple of years ago.
Yeah. We are going to get into our best bets, our anytime touchdown scores, before we re-rack it and run it back with you here on Pro Football Today. Joe Lisi, Donnie Rightside, and Kevin Walsh have you covered for Super Bowl 59. We'll be back right here on SportsGrid.
talk about Philly and Kansas City. They're here again 2 out of the last 3 years. What are your thoughts on this matchup?
I'm a big Andy Reid fan, and it's hard to go against what he's been able to accomplish. That being said, there's a lot of storylines in this game. You know, you look at Saquon and what he's been able to do this year.
Crazy.
It's wild. But if he's able to do what he's done throughout the playoffs, they'll be hard to beat.
Only on SportsGrid.
You want me to solve all this tush-push and fourth down malarkey that goes on with the officials? Here's a crazy idea. Get rid of the worst rule in the NFL, and that is forward progress. How about this? Where I knock your ass in the ground is where the ball goes, period. Let's end this whole conversation. Like, if I drop you back 4 yards, then you lost 4 yards. If we get rid of forward progress, this tush-push and everything else is taken care of. Where I put your tail on the ground is where the ball goes, end of conversation. It's the dumbest rule and the most arbitrary rule. The only thing that is a worse call in the NFL than forward progress is the punt that goes out of bounds when you watch the official walk down the sideline having absolutely no clue where that ball crossed over. All I can think of is that Price is Right game go do-de-do-de-do, do-de-do-de-do, as he's walking down the sideline, arbitrarily trying to figure out where the ball crossed over because he's got no clue.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Pro football today with you on SportsGrid. Joe Lisi, Donnie Rightside, and Kevin Walsh. Let's talk best bets. I don't even know what your best bet is, I just realized.
Come on. Really?
Oh, no, now I do.
Jaded Daniels.
Which now means
MVP
is
next
this
year.
the first? Now listen, it's a different first game all year. Best bet's not a total.
No, because I had the Vikings when they played Atlanta.
Okay,
so they like 5.5 smash special.
Yeah.
This is my first prop best bet.
Wow. All right.
So I told you I'm on the under. I'm not playing it pre-kick, so obviously I can't give it out for a best bet. But I told you I believe Saquon Barkley will be a factor in this game, just not on the ground. I think combined yardage, rushing, and receiving is a look. But I think he breaks out in the receiving game today. His number's 13.5. I'm not looking 13.5. I'm looking double that, 25+. It opened at 270. It's now down to 210. Look at all the running backs that have had success, including James Cook in the receiving game. Saquon Barkley hit this number against the L.A. Rams. I think he breaks out with a dynamic performance. Throw it. What about McCaffrey last year in the Super Bowl? Dissected, sliced, and diced that defense. Saquon in the receiving game today. Best bet.
Oh, no.
I know where Donnie's head is at.
Oh, no.
And I don't know why he is saying, oh, no.
Why?
I view it, Donnie, as the perfect final hurdle for this incredible Eagle team to get through.
All right, now you're selling. Go ahead,
because
bring it back in.
Last season, the Philadelphia Eagles were lining up as the best team in this sport. And all of a sudden, Mr. Total 1 p.m. window best bet gave out the Eagles as a best bet on an alt spread, a plus price, and they were never the same again. So here in the big game, it is an Eagle alt prop that we see. But again, it is perfect because game number 1 of this playoffs, Lisi's Green Bay Packers. Game number 2 of these playoffs, Lisi's LA Rams. The conference title, smash, on Lisi's Washington Commanders.
Ooh.
And now, under the gun and under the radar, you pull one last stop.
Wow.
Not 13.5 minus 110. 25 plus at plus 210.
Is that
your last-ditch effort to try and blow up Philly season?
Yep,
I see it.
Yep.
I accept it.
Yep.
Bring the barren tree right to me. I have no problem. He might have 50 through the air. No fear in my heart. Bring it on home, right side.
That's it. Come on, Donnie.
Just ignore him.
Just
ignore.
What
do you mean, just ignore me?
Let's snap back.
I've been on fire on the best
Yeah, I'm going to set you on fire if he ends up blowing this Super Bowl up for us. So how about that? So let's get to some good stuff here. A.J. Brown, I've been on him all week long. I love it. I know it's a bit expensive. The price has risen over the past week, so I'm a man of the people. I have to ride with you as well. Over 4.5 receptions, minus 168 price. I absolutely love it. I believe there's a chance he might have this in the first half alone. A.J. Brown is my go-to guy in this game, and he's getting 5+ catches today, boys.
Listen, I like it. You've continued to sell me on A.J. Brown throughout the week. I think that he just steps up in a big way in a Super Bowl spot there. Lisi, any thoughts?
No, I like A.J. today. Again, big game performer.
Yeah.
Did it a couple of years ago and stepped up with a touchdown reception. I expect him to be a key contributor to that offense, and along with Devontae Smith as well.
Now, for me, I like a celebration.
Oh, boy.
I love a birthday bash.
All right.
So let's party
Dash it.
out in New Orleans. Saquon Barkley over 109.5 rushing yards. A dropping number that was well over 120 in the conference championship game. The books are giving more respect to a average run defense because of exotic blitz. That is a mistake. Saquon has smashed that number in 5 straight games, averaging over 150 yards per game on the ground in that run. In fact, we have a bounce-back spot because if not for the slide against Green Bay, last game against Washington would have been the first time that Saquon didn't have 150-plus inside a 5-game window. With only 15 carries, that could double today. Saquon Barkley for 150, 160, 170. Get on that horse.
You see what he's
Get
doing
on
right
that horse.
He likes the 109, but he loves it even higher. You could have very easily said you love the 13.5 and you love it higher.
Why?
That's right.
No, because I know I'm going to hit it. I feel good today. I do.
Listen.
Not a doubt in my mind. Anytime touchdowns?
Oh, that's right. Anytime. Go ahead, Lisi. Well,
yeah, Samaj P. Ron. I'll give you your Kansas City Chief plus 950.
A.J. Brown plus 180. Touchdown.
Travis Kelce, most unbiased man, history of sports media. He's never missed it in 2 straight games with Mahomes as his quarterback in his postseason career. You know what? I had a lot of fun. We'll do it again. Go nowhere. The Pro Football Today crew has you covered.
Who we pulling for? Who we looking to win this game?
I picked Buffalo over Kansas City in the AFC Championship game, and I was wrong. I'm picking Philly. Philly has the better roster, but Kansas City just knows how to win, especially one-score games. But I think Saquon, like he's been the difference all year, Kansas City has to prove to me they can stop him.
Absolutely.
They can stop him, stop that O-line, and not have Jalen have to throw it 40 times.
Only on SportsGrid.
This is the greatest show ever. It's funny, and you know what I like? You have balls. I mean, the stuff you do on that show, you are half crazy.
You know, I feel like a good sense of humor, and I like to show it off. And this kind of originally started where people were the hot dog eating challenge was something that I always wanted to do, and every 4th of July, and I was like, I could eat a ton of hot dogs.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid. It's finally here. The big game is just days away. And SportsGrid is live from New Orleans all week long, bringing you the latest news, insights, and analysis from the biggest names in the game. And on game day, we've got you covered all day long with expert picks, live odds, and everything you need to make the most out of the biggest game of the year. Don't miss a second, and it's all happening only on SportsGrid.